Hello, everybody. So today we're talking about New Year resolutions, and I'm going to start by saying I am not a fan of New Year resolutions in its popular form. Yeah. What we find is that these resolutions don't even get to experience Valentine's Day, talk less of International Women's Day. Pressure inspired commitments are too vague to breed and sustain growth. Personally, I'm not one person to put myself under any pressure because of the new year. Am I excited about the new year? Yes. Do I have things? Or maybe Q1 2025, this is what I want to do? Definitely. But as much as I'm excited about all of these things, I also know that January is the month after December. Now, in the early hours of today, I spent some time charting a growth map, which I think is something everybody should do, not just at the end of the year. It's amazing, it's beautiful to do it at the end of the year, but it's also something that you want to do regularly. I spent time, just charting a growth map and just doing like growth analysis, just checking how much I have grown, the things that I have done better, the things I have gotten better at. And as I did it, I got inspired to, sort of put a structure to it so that I could, share it with other creatives to help their growth analysis. But before then, I just thought of recording this video to help you chart a growth map, tips that can help you chart a growth map. Charting a growth map will definitely take time, but I'm telling you it is worth it, because charting a growth map, doing growth analysis will definitely help to simplify a lot of things. You will be able to see things really clearly. Charting a growth map or growth analysis is very, very important, and you might have a particular language you call it in case you do it already, but whatever you call it is definitely fine. But just ensure that you take time, just do that growth checkup, just do it regularly. I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, getting into this growth analysis conversation, I'm going to start by talking about perspectivation. Perspectivation is really, really important for your growth analysis, and perspectivation is basically you giving proper perspectives to narratives, giving proper perspectives to your experiences. Emphasis on proper perspectives, not sentimental perspectives. Proper perspectives. It's very important that when you are analyzing your growth, you want to analyze it like the main character in your story that you are. You want to analyze your growth like a king overseeing his domain. You want to acknowledge your loopholes like a king who is taking responsibility for his domain. You want to celebrate your wins like a king who has mastered his domain. There is such a thing as knowing that you have mastered or you are mastering something. Take, for example, if you have mastered a particular skill, right? When it is time for you to put that skill into use, and maybe for a particular assignment, and you've experienced success at it, there is a way that success does something. It's a way it solidifies something in you. Perspectivation is very, very important, because you cannot afford to tag your wins as luck. You cannot afford to tag your challenges as setbacks. So when you want to analyze your growth, you definitely want to put on the correct lenses. Now, the very first thing you need to analyze your growth is to highlight the things that matter to you. So your spirituality, your family and friends, your personal wellness, your life's assignments, your work, your business. You want to highlight everything. You might want to even break down the things, your personal wellness. You might want to say, okay, my diet, my exercise. You want to highlight those things that matter to you. That is the very first thing. You don't just want to say, how was the year 2024, or how was the last 3 months of my life, or how was the past 1 month of my life. No, you want to Now the next thing is you want to take those subjects one after the other and see how well you did in respect to your past commitment, if you had one. Now, if you don't have a past commitment, you might want to just spend time highlighting the things that you did under those subject topics. You might want to write how your relationship with God was during the year, or even if you're not doing like a end of the year recap or something, maybe for the past 3 months, you might want to check to see, okay, what are the things that I did, what was my relationship with God like in this past 3 months. You want to really, I'm telling you, it's an introspective journaling, so you want to be detailed about it. Now, this thing I'm about to say is very, very important. Either you had a past commitment or not. Under those subject topics, you want to write out the things, like you want to write out your visions for those things. Under your spirituality, you might want to write being more fond of God regardless of my busy schedules. Whatever you are writing under those subjects, you must write it as if you already have it. You would then layer those visions with progress reports, right? How well you did in the past year, in the past 3 months, in the past 6 months. Now, to deepen your progress report and also to help your subsequent action plans, you definitely want to highlight your strengths and your weaknesses. Under strength, you want to highlight the things that you're super good at. You want to highlight the things that you've greatly improved at, and you also want to highlight the things that you're still improving on. Under weaknesses, you want to highlight the things that are hindering your strength from gaining full expression, and you also want to highlight the things that you're not good at but they are necessary for your growth. You might really need to highlight these things, write them down or jot them down on your digital notepad so that you can now take time to do proper introspective journaling. Now, this is a side note. I would advise that you spend time like writing it out, like instead of doing it digitally. But I would advise that you write. But if doing it maybe on your phone or anything, if doing it will float your boat well also, I mean, you can, but that's just my own simple advice. Now, my fourth point, is it the fourth point? Highlight the things that matter to you. Vision and progress report. Highlight your strengths and weaknesses. Yes. Now, the fourth point is where we now talk about your action plan or your goals. Now, whenever you hear goals, don't be scared. Goals are things that you can achieve and will achieve. Now, under goals, we have input and output. I'm going to create this material by God's grace. Under goals, we have input and output. Now, your input basically talks about your responsibility in this growth thing, your responsibility to further your progress. Now, before you create an input strategy, you definitely want to look into the cause of your present inability, which is about to become your former inability. So what I mean by this is, before you say, I want to do this particular thing, you want to ask yourself, why am I not doing it now? So take, for example, you want to make new friends. Maybe under your community, you can see that you're not doing well, you're not being deliberate with your friendships, or you probably don't even really have friends. You then want to ask yourself, why don't I have friends? That's the first thing. Not just your action plan should not just be make new friends in 2025. No, you want to ask yourself, why don't I have friends? When you do that, you'd be able to see that, okay, maybe it was because I experienced some friendship breakups, or somebody did something to me and I'm now in preservation mode. You'd be able to see it. So your input strategy will now be soul healing, not make new friends. Or maybe your own is, I want to spend more time with God. You then want to ask yourself, why am I not presently spending that time I want to spend? Like, why is it not happening? Then you start to look into it. Oh, I'm always very busy. I have to wake up at so time to go to work. That is, then you now have to look into that your busy schedule or something, and then start to say, okay, I will dedicate maybe 15 minutes every 3 hours or every 2 hours to pray. So your input strategy will not just be spend more time with God, or your goal will not just be spend more time with God. It will now be spend this amount of minutes in 3 hours. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you'd be able to now, you'll be able to take proper steps that will actually work. And you want to maybe set alarms to help you work with those things. So your input strategy, your inputs must be very, very clear. Now, your outputs speak more to your growth landmarks than a rigid end. Because the beautiful thing about growth is, as you grow, your vision improves, your vision gets clearer. That's why I said your output cannot be rigid ends. They would, your output speaks to growth landmarks. That is, those things that you see and you start to say, okay, yes, I'm growing. Your growth landmarks are instances, interactions, conversations, results that show that you are actually growing. Now, the truth is, you might not see your growth immediately, but even if you see it or you don't yet see it, either it's visible or it's not yet visible, you definitely want to keep fueling your input. I'm telling you, because you are growing. Yeah, you are growing. Very soon your growth will be tangible, and you'll be spurred to be more dedicated to your personal growth and development. We've come to the end of the video. I really hope you found it insightful, and I will see you tomorrow.